Shut up and sit down.
Comment threads and Twitter feeds are easy places for me to set people straight. I have a track record of changing people's minds 100% of the time when I leave angry comments online. I tell you what you should think while also getting the point across that you're a terrible person.
You are listening to the Dialed Podcast with Matt LeGrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von Turing. If you can get through this thing, you are definitely mentally tough.
I turn my caps lock key on once you start trying to stand up for your own free will. I don't actually stand for anything. I just crusade against everything I don't stand for, which happens to be everything because I don't stand for anything. My purpose in life is to be right. Luckily, I'm always right. My ability to always be right is based on my ability to point out how everybody else is always wrong. If you were an expert, then you too would know that swearing at people is the key to effectively communicating a point. And whoever uses the most capitals and hits the enter key the hardest is the winner of any online argument. You're welcome, world.
Hi, welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I am Jake Von Turing, and I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Lance Romance, right here in studio.
In
pieces.
I just thought you might be on the road, so I'm always excited to see you.
The plan was to be on the road. We're not on the road yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe tomorrow.
Yet, or Wednesday, or Thursday. But
we'll see.
We'll be coming
Roading.
up. Roading.
To his right, vigorously texting away on his little iPhone over there, Mr. Evan Price.
I'm behind today. What's everybody drinking?
I have something different.
This
is my first time drinking this drink. Aha sparkling water, and it's blueberry pomegranate.
How is it?
It's okay.
Just okay. Where did you pick that up at?
I'll give you a sip, but COVID.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's from QFC.
Cool.
Yeah.
I got some coffee going on.
I got nothing.
Oh, do I have to get you a drink?
Buy this man a drink.
Should I see what's in the cooler?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's gonna be ice cold beer.
He's gonna jack.
He's probably gonna shotgun a beer on the microphone in front of everyone.
Is there one to the left of that? No. My gosh, my stock is really low.
Keg stand.
I have a bottle of water. Thank you, Jake.
Nice.
Evan, what are you drinking?
I have nothing yet. I'm drinking emails right now, I think.
Soak up the emails.
Evan's multitasking today. Busy kid.
We're going to stop multitasking here. I am drinking lake water, basically.
Lake
I can
water.
still kind of taste it in my mouth, to be completely honest, Matt. So, Fallen Leaf's got a little taste to it.
Does it really?
Just a little taste.
It's not as nice as
It's not as nice as Horseshoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta go swim out there then.
It's more of a like LaCroix versus like a Polar sort of taste.
Not nearly.
I'll let you decide which one is the better one. Yeah.
And sitting directly to my left, Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys are looking fantastic this morning, or whenever you're listening to it, really.
Thank you.
I mean, if it's early morning, then you're not looking quite as good because you just haven't prepared for the day yet. But, I doubt you're listening to this that early. I don't know.
Maybe.
Why don't you carry on with your back pedal, Matt?
Mine should be really quick because I'm still planning on getting a bike put together here potentially this week. If we can, it's hard for both Jake and I to have any time because we're both swamped with work.
Pretty nuts.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And so maybe towards the end of the week we could build something. But yeah, I'm hoping to build something, record it, and then eventually a couple weeks down the road, let that spill out onto the YouTube channel. But yeah, until then, I do not have a bike. Sold all my bikes. I did spend a ridiculously stupid amount of time fixing my Trek Speed concept, which is still not done yet. And I had
so that will go on a trainer.
So that it will go on a trainer. So the stem basically there was corrosion on it, and then it split in half. So that's that fast story, and busted my shoulder. Everyone knows that. But the half that split on there, whatever, part of it was stuck in the stem, and it's kind of this mountain shape, and like a bra shape covering the mountain. So I'm trying to do this as PG as possible. I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's like welded together, right? So like you can't put the new piece in there because there's an old piece that's just like rusted and not rusted, but corroded and like welded into this shape. And so I get the Dremel out, and I probably spent...
I get it.
I'm guessing I spent like... That's the sound of the Dremel.
Yeah.
That was well timed there, Mr.
I mean, it is.
Air compressor.
Matt's actually working on the bike right now as we talk.
I probably spent 2 or 3 hours with a Dremel trying to like get it out and not like drill into the carbon fiber.
Have you thought about soaking it in like some CLR or something like that?
I don't know these things, Jake. It was Sunday. I didn't want to bother you. But yeah, I spent a long time doing that. Finally got it out. That I actually my plan was to bring it to show you guys like this like deformed what's left of a screw, and you know because you cut through it and you can't see any difference between like where one piece started and one piece ended. It's just all like one piece. So spent way too much time doing that. Then you've got to recable and everything. And if you've ever worked on a TT bike, some are smarter built than others, and this one is just like such a pain. So that's just, I mean, it's just taking hours and hours. And the mechanic had offered to be like, hey, you know, I can do this for you. It probably costs about $100. And I'm like, no more money going to Trek. I didn't say it exactly like that, but like I was like, oh no, I'll do it myself. It's only going to have to go on the trainer anyway. But I do kind of want to ride it because I want to test some like new aero equipment, like an aero meter thing. But it's been the bane of my existence for this past weekend, and I spent way too much time doing that. And I could have easily had someone else do it for. It wouldn't matter really what they charged me. They could charge me like a ton of money, but whatever. It's worth
I
it.
quite enjoyed the video you put out about that. Bike.
I posted a Trek Speed Concept video, and it's gotten a little traction. I don't remember how many people have looked at it, but everyone's been. I thought I was going to get like, oh no, you're full of it. You're just whiny, you know, bleep bleep bleep, and you know, because you had a little fall on your Trek. Like I just thought people were going to kind of let me have it, and everyone's been like, you know, good argument. There you go. That's shouldn't have happened, or blah blah blah. Or Trek should have done things differently. So
also, I don't remember from that fall you being in the aero bars when you even fell.
I don't know.
I think you were on the bullhorns.
It's hard to know.
I'm like 90% sure you were on the bullhorns because in that email I know you said they're like, oh well, when you're in the aero bars, you know, sometimes that happens when you hit bumps. Yeah. I remember you not being in the aero bars.
There's a stop sign coming up.
Yeah. So I was either moving.
I'm like
out
90% sure you were in the bullhorns because I was right behind you. Yeah.
It was one of those things. Well, I definitely was in the aero bars, like coming down for a little bit, and then I was probably moving up or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, either way, you should be able to put weight on your handlebars.
No. You know, as we've talked about with Trek, I mean, through that email, clearly what they were saying was that when you hit bumps, make sure you're not touching anywhere that steers the bike.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's yeah.
Good video. I think you were a little too nice, but that's just my 2 cents.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I loved the video, and I was like, Matt should have gone all in on it. He should have just.
Matt's trying to keep.
He's way too
fewer
nice
lawyers in his life.
This is true. This is true.
Well, that's in the back of my mind. You're thinking like, okay, legally, I'm allowed to talk about like my experiences.
Oh yeah.
You're not allowed to like
defame or whatever.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Could misconstrue
can't, like,
that as
bash.
Yeah.
You can't just be like Trek bikes are horrible. They are junk. Like you just can't sit there and like bash. I mean, you can, but you probably shouldn't. So
yeah,
I don't know that part should not have broke like that.
Nah.
That's just my 2 cents. So you're being a little on the nice side, which is good. It's good to err on that side, but at the same time, I would have probably jumped into a little bit more of like showing exactly what happened, and that just creates a distrust with your bike. If this is something that's just going to happen, and especially after you had your buddy that you interviewed on it talking about, like,
I know that interview. I'm glad you put that in.
That right there, and like
it's crazy.
I think people in the comments, somebody else,
other people were saying like, yeah, this is a known issue. It bugs me that Trek hasn't been like, this was a known issue.
They brushed that off
that
to you, right? Didn't they in the email brush that off to you and be like, oh well, we haven't heard of anything
like that?
That's what
they said.
before.
They hadn't heard.
That's
it
ridiculous.
Hasn't come through the warranty stuff. I'm thinking that they must be like, hey, this. Recently, we haven't seen it or whatever. This is an older bike, but I also think that the way that they make that part, it's very thin through there.
Sure.
And so it's going to snap. It's going to snap on people. Yeah. So I'm not super confident taking the new piece that they sent me, putting it on my bike and
personally, I wouldn't ride that bike.
Yeah.
Personally, I would not ride that bike for my own safety. If it's going to break at some point in time, how can you ever be comfortable with that bike?
Yeah.
Right.
I know. That's just
Taking it out. I'm
You'd
going
be
out
the
on it
first
tonight.
person to ever break their clavicle again on the trainer. Over the handlebars on the trainer. It's going downhill on Zwift.
Downhilling on Zwift.
How'd
is
you break your
dangerous.
clavicle?
So is
Rough
the bike,
downhill, technical downhill.
Is the bike done?
The bike is so yeah. It's all cabled up and ready to go. I've got to attach the front brakes, and then it should be good to go.
Going to beaches tonight?
No,
Not going to go do the beaches rights on that thing?
when I get my BMC, I'm going out there. So
Gotcha.
we got a special
We got
special
a
guest.
We have a guest walking in.
Are we going to convince her to sit down and talk with us here?
You had to say hi for a second on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh, she comes bearing some goodies here.
Just got 30 seconds. Just say hi and what your name is.
Come on in.
This can be your mic.
Yeah.
This is one of our little junior phenoms here. Can you say hi or introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Madison Wick.
Come a little closer, Maddie.
Yeah. There you go.
Hi, I'm Maddie Wick.
Hi, Maddie.
She also brought cookies for everybody.
She brought cookies.
So she's not only a junior phenom, she also makes delicious cookies. So
Killing our watts per kilogram here, but probably in a good way.
No, I had that tomorrow.
Hey, Maddie, how was your ride this weekend? You did a little juniors ride, right?
Yes, I did one with Nels and Alex.
Alex, how was that?
It was really fun.
Yeah? How's your training coming right now?
Oh, it's going really good.
Yeah?
Now that everything's opening up a little bit, I can go places.
That's good. Where are you feeling the strongest right now?
The swim.
The swim? That's usually you're pretty strong in the pool, though.
she's
yeah?
a superstar
Yeah.
swimmer. Yeah. She makes me work way too hard every Sunday morning in the water.
How old are
Makes
you,
me feel
Maddie?
slow.
I'm 15.
15. My goodness.
What were you doing when you were 15, Lance?
Not
swimming fast,
Not
or-
swimming fast.
All right. Well, we know Maddie's got to head out, but good seeing you again, Maddie, okay?
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you, Maddie.
Bye,
Talk to you
Maddie.
later, Maddie. Cool. What did she bring over there, Evan?
She brought us cookies.
What kind of cookies? How many cookies? There's like 2 boxes here.
Yeah.
There's 24 chocolate chip, big
chip.
chocolate chip
And they're
chunk
chunk.
cookies.
Yeah, they're
have one
chunk
right
chocolate
now.
chip.
They're all addressed to Matt.
Yep.
Why me? I don't understand.
I hope
that.
nobody minds it. Like, I'm probably going to be eating into the microphone here, so.
yeah.
Was it
Jake will
was it
love
was it Jake that was was it Jake that was bothered by the was it my chewing
Chewing.
or was
It's-
it Matt's chewing originally?
It's anybody's chewing.
I think it was mostly my
Misophonia.
chewing.
Chewing
Yeah.
noises. It's
Because
gonna
I would
bug
always
guys.
bring over like my Detaza snacks and just eat them into the microphone. I apologize for the first like 20 podcasts whoever had to listen to that, but
So there's 2 boxes of cookies here. How many of these boxes will you eat during the course of the day today, Evan?
oh god, probably most of them. I think it'll be a continuous lunch. Does this count as a lunch?
They do
I'm
look
taking
good.
one of these boxes home.
Okay, good.
Let's get back on track here, Evan. Why don't you backpedal for us real quick?
Okay, so I got back into the Zwift racing world on Friday.
That's
Hey.
too bad.
It was, and there's my part. That's
And
it.
that's it.
That's as boring of a bad pedal as it gets. I forgot how bad those races hurt. Like those things are so painful. They're absolutely awful.
Yeah.
But-
It's, yeah.
It was a good. My legs were absolutely toast Monday through Thursday. I even think did I text all you guys? I was just like, I feel terrible. I think I
I
sent.
don't think you sent it to me.
No, I may have sent that to Tonk and Mike. I think
Yeah.
I just sent them like I feel like absolute trash. And I did tell Lance on Wednesday I got 20 minutes into a set of intervals and just
That's
gave
right.
up.
And you like
Just
stopped.
gave up. Yeah.
You were mentioning that.
Yeah, but no, legs came back Friday, felt great. I'm really I'm starting the beginnings of a good running block right now, so I'm really focusing on running. Just got done this
That's
morning.
also too bad.
I know, yeah. But have you guys been around Hag Lake before?
Sure.
Up there? Yeah. So I did that loop on Saturday.
It's in the Forest Grove area,
Yeah.
west
Beautiful.
of Portland,
Yep,
Oregon.
about
Yeah.
an hour from where we're at.
Yep,
Almost
yep.
on the dot an hour. I got so sunburnt. Got as much sun as I could possibly soak up. We did a little trail run. Cassie rode and swam. I ran and biked, and it was
You would like to have
Beautiful.
a triathlon there.
I did.
yeah. I want to go and do that triathlon.
It's weird because
it's
it like
a Y
starts
event,
down
yeah.
there in the parking lot, and you bike like when you start, you go
Straight
up, this
up that-
straight up a hill.
Yeah,
So you got everyone like just falls over there.
yeah. That's a pretty steep hill out of the parking lot.
I did an Xterra triathlon.
Oh, was there an
there.
Xterra there too?
that would be
Cool.
cool.
I don't know if they still have it.
they
this
do.
was like
Do sort of,
15
except for
years
this year.
ago, but I did
They
an
did it
Xterra.
last
I think
year,
they
yeah.
do.
Oh.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
did the
'cause,
Xterra one, but also Y picked up another one. They're doing a trail triathlon.
Oh,
there
that's
as well.
cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
yeah. No, very very cool
I won.
area though. Did you?
No.
That's Xterra. That's like big time because they may have even hosted like national Xterra there. No,
It's
I think that one's in
possible.
Hawaii.
It would be
Anyway,
a good,
but
it would be a good spot for that. Actually, I think the World Championships in Hawaii
the
for
World
Xterra.
Championships.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, I
maybe they
think
hosted nationals in Portland at one
Probably.
point, but that's pretty
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
It's a
It
great
is.
race.
Yeah. And then Sunday went out and ran at Forest Park. after swimming with the juniors at Horseshoe. They continue to make me feel nice and slow, which is great. So I think I'm resigned to now, at least when it comes to swimming, I'm just going to take on the coaching responsibility of pretending like I'm there to like
Get a
view
workout,
and
but you're
coach.
not.
No, I'm just there to coach and make sure everybody's safe. Except that deep down, I have to realize, wow, these kids are a lot faster than me. There's a realization of my swimming ability. But yeah, then this Monday morning, did a little more with did track workout with the juniors. I've still got some track speed somehow, Matt. I don't know how. I was hitting like 65s easy on my fours, which is very surprising. I was not expecting that. It could have just been one of those good mornings. We'll see next week. And then I swam with Matt and then rushed over here, and there we go. That was a back pedal.
Fun.
Yeah.
Good times.
There we go.
Hey, Mr. Crash.
Yes.
Yeah, here's the back pedal.
Juke Kaboom, Crash Kaboom, whatever your name is.
I don't know anything. I have no idea what happened.
Well,
Crash.
I rode 6 times this week, and I crashed on 2 of them.
We should do a forward pedal. We should do a forward pedal and just predict how many times this week Lance is going to crash.
I did have a couple of good things that happened this week. I had a buddy, one of my college buddies, Cam Nosler, came into town. And so I'm like, hey, he was coming. He's a pilot for Southwest, and so he can kind of go anywhere. So he comes into town to see either me or my buddy for their dental work. Now he doesn't see me anymore. He sees my buddy who's over across town. But I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do tonight? Let's go mountain biking. He's like, yeah, because I've got an extra mountain bike right now. He's like, okay, we'll go mountain biking, and Jake ended up meeting us there, and we ruined him. He was not. He had a bit of a rough go just on the first couple of hills.
I saw one of the Strava pictures. There was like a look in his eyes. There was like, oh, he really did not like you guys there for that.
We're like, no, the next part is easier. I swear. The next part is easier. It's going to be fine. And
Did you guys do Round Lake kind of stuff back there?
Yeah. We started there at Lacamas Lake and rode around Round Lake and did a couple of the trails around there.
Some of that stuff is pretty technical. A lot of rocks.
It's just the uphills to get to the fun part is hard if you're not fit, and we underestimated that a little bit.
He's been off a little bit. He's recovering from a pretty serious leg injury. So
he fractured his femur almost 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Snapped it in half in a skydiving accident.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
was it just like the fall from it, or was
actually, it was more like a paragliding accident. He's a pilot, and so he had a van-propelled paraglider. You know how you put those big, huge motors on your back, and you can like take off from wherever? He was coming in for a landing, and the wind caught him, and he hit his own truck. He snapped his femur.
What are the odds of you hitting your own truck? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was like the second time. It was like the second time he flew on the thing. It was just a bad deal. So
second and the last, yeah.
Yeah, he sold it shortly after that.
Jeez.
But so he's had a rough couple of years trying to recover from this broken femur. I mean, it snapped his femur. He had to he's got
surgically repaired
rods and
a slightly important weight-bearing bone.
A little bit.
Anyway, before that, he did quite a bit of mountain biking, and he lives in St. George, Utah, which is a fantastic place. There's great mountain biking all around there. So I thought, hey, let's go mountain biking, and then we just hurt him even more. Sorry, Cam. Still love you.
Yeah.
It's a good sport, though. He came out and gave it a good go.
He did.
It's
and
cool
he's like, you guys keep going. I'm just going to go back to the van.
I'm just going to chill.
So we get back to the van, and he's laying on the sidewalk on his back like he's dead. Okay, if I can't make fun of my college buddy.
Cam.
So apparently laughing at my college buddy was very bad karma.
Ooh, bad. So that was the day before.
It was
you
the day
went to-
before.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that was direct karma.
So, and then the next day I'm out riding. I'm just on my road bike. I'm in the Fort Vancouver area near downtown Vancouver. There's a land bridge that goes over Highway 14.
Yeah.
There's one section of the land bridge that is composite decking, like plastic decking.
Yeah.
I hit that going too fast. My front wheel washed out.
Okay.
So, not too big a deal. I hit the thing. I just went down on my side. Didn't hurt my bike. I lost some skin. I didn't really
What does that stuff feel like
get
to
injured.
hit? I know it's like that. I know the material you're talking
Well,
about.
I slid like crazy, and I
Yeah.
didn't stop until I hit the pavement beyond.
It's pretty
it.
slick.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty slick.
Ugh.
I just hit it a little too fast. So
Why were you?
went down.
Is there a KOM there you wanted to take?
No, I
Oh.
was just.
He's already got it.
I was just
He
cruising.
created it.
I was just cruising along, and
Yeah.
there was somebody I had just gone around, and there was sand in front of the little bridge
Oh,
area,
that's just a bad
and so
combo.
Were you going up then?
No, I was going down.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was trying to not turn on the sand,
Yeah,
and I ended up getting a little too much speed. And then as I tried to turn on the bridge, because it's on a corner, my wheel just washed out. No big deal. You just go down. I just lost skin on my arm. If you guys can see my
It looks
Oh,
pretty
he's
bad.
got a.
my arm's covered in
It just looks like he
wounds.
just took like a black marker and just drew it all over his forearm. The scabs are coming along nicely.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good.
No, thank you.
The arm looks way worse than the knee. Doesn't look too bad.
It's like the same spot
yeah.
on my knee. I've
Yeah.
ripped the skin off like 4 times. I have
Yeah.
like permanent scars on my knees.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, the forearm's way worse. Ooh.
Next day, felt great, no problem. Went out and
You
did
weren't
some.
sore at all?
I wasn't sore.
Wow.
No.
I'm
my
always sore.
my neck was a little sore, like
Jarred it.
whiplash, you know.
You
But,
rung your bell pretty good.
No, that wasn't that crash.
Oh, never mind. I just spoiled the next one. My bad, everybody.
My head didn't even
Spoiler
hit.
alert.
Yeah. So rode the next day, no big deal. Thursday evening, Jake was going out to do some hot laps around Lacamas Lake with Sean.
Okay.
And so I was going to meet them. I had a little bit of time before I headed out there, so the wind was kind of hopping, and there was a KOM I wanted, and the wind was right for it. And so I went to go.
Which segment was this?
It's called Plan B.
Plan B. Okay.
It's actually KOM I already have, but Mike Hamness tied me on it, and so I wanted it back solo.
Worth it.
Yeah,
Definitely worth it, right?
it's a short KOM, only like 30 seconds, and
Okay,
so
gotcha.
it's one of these ones where you
a wind-dependent one.
And you got to push 1,000 or 1,100 watts for several corners to
Yeah.
make it. It's uphill and has like 4 corners on it, so you have to hit it at the right speed. Anyway, I come into it really hot. I was going a little too fast coming into it. I'm turning. I'm going uphill, and I went to take a big dig, and my cleat popped out of the pedal.
Were you still on an angle too? Were
Yes.
you still cantering? Yeah.
I'm on an angle.
man.
I'm trying to put power on. My cleat popped out, and I'm going so fast I went right over the bars.
Yeah.
And just landed right on my side and my head, and I ended up breaking some ribs. So I hit the ground. I'm scratched up again. I'm thinking, what in the heck? I sat up. My handlebars were mangled.
Oh no.
Was there a moment laying on the ground there where you thought, why do I do this?
Oh yeah,
This-
this was stupid.
more you're
Why was I going so hard at this? I'm 3 miles into the ride.
Oh, so it was like the very beginning of the ride?
Yeah, it was
too?
right at the very beginning.
Oh, no.
But I thought, okay, I'm all right. I stand up. I fix my handlebars. I realize I've hit my side pretty good, and my
Yeah.
ribs kind of hurt. But I still thought, it's okay. I'm just going to ride it off, fix the bike, jump on the bike, and I'm heading out to meet Jake, which was a good 10 miles or 12 miles away where I'm
Oh,
from.
you were by yourself.
I was
at
by
this point.
myself.
Oh.
I hadn't met them
Oh
yet.
my gosh.
And I couldn't breathe.
Well, you hit your head too.
I hit my head a little bit, and I went dizzy. I didn't lose consciousness at all.
Yeah.
But like the room spun once,
Yeah.
and then it all caught back up, and I thought, okay, I'm all right. Am I okay? I had to stand there for a minute. Somebody drove up and just saw me sprawled on the ground. Are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good, as I'm dripping blood. I ripped my hand open.
Now, Now, I don't know if you necessarily had a concussion, but you've had that inner ear thing before where the crystals get a little bit out of whack.
It happened to me once.
Yeah, where you had to stop
with
puke a
Matt.
few times with Matt. Yeah. Do you think that might have been what it was? What caused the room to spin?
I'm sure that's what it was because my helmet's actually fine.
That's what I was going to say. Your helmet's, you just got like little scuffs on
just
there.
scuffs on it.
No indentations.
So I think it just spun the room on me a little bit.
You can still get a concussion without actual head contact, though. You do know,
But I was wearing one of those with the new Giro
ones.
helmets that have the MIPS technology in it, and my head actually feels fine.
It didn't flag it.
No.
It doesn't have an accelerometer that tries to flag a certain speed where there's like
No,
odds
not
of
in that. Not in that helmet.
Yeah,
the
there's another one
MIPS system is to help protect you from rotational forces more than a helmet without the MIPS system.
There's also this Bontrager helmet with the honeycomb thing that's supposed to be pretty
I saw
good.
that. Yeah,
I mean, we should look into that.
Except that Bontrager's a
Bontrager. I mean, the helmet is for looking at, not wearing.
not wearing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Does the helmet have to touch the handlebars? That was really the question.
Yeah. So you said your handlebars were mangled, but you were able to put it all back together?
Yeah. The
bike
headset was rotated.
Yeah.
Both the bike levers, both the brake levers were pushed in because I was holding onto them so hard.
That's what he decides. It wasn't even the ground. You just gripped them in.
I
so
gripped
hard.
him and just like
Ripped them in.
You
So
probably
Incredible
broke-
hulked him in.
You may have literally, like, aside from actually breaking a rib, you may have actually strained an intercostal just from gripping and
Oh, that's possible.
going in that hard.
I landed on my arm, and my arm like pushed into my
Compressed into your ribs.
my ribs.
any is your bike perfectly fine?
Yeah.
Okay, no problems there.
Other than I think I got an air bubble in my rear brake because the rear brake was not working consistently after that.
Well, you don't need that when you're descending.
No, yeah. Who needs brakes?
So you met up with those guys?
No, I was
Didn't
on
make
my
it
way
there?
to meet
Okay.
them, and halfway there, I'm like, I can't breathe.
Abort.
I'm not coming.
Did you
So-
get your wife to pick you up, or just go home?
No, I rode 15 more miles to get home very easily, very slowly. And like I hobbled into the house and I'm like, I just crashed again because it was the second time in 3 days that I crashed. But I'm okay. She's like, what? We're going to the hospital right now. I'm like, actually, I think I'm okay. I was breathing okay, I just couldn't breathe real deeply. Long story short, next day, I did go to the Kaiser Clinic and say, I need a chest film to make sure I did not collapse a lung.
Right.
And I took the chest film. They're like, nope, you did not collapse a lung. Yes, you did break ribs 5 and 6. So you take it easy,
Yeah.
So.
They're like, get back on
Broken ribs are no good.
Yeah.
I can't. I can't. You can't cough.
Right. No.
You can't sneeze.
Oh no. Oh, God, no.
It's hard to sleep.
Don't laugh either.
I can't. I'm. Yeah. It's no good.
Oh, I've got a funny story. My 60-year-old mother's tougher than you. She broke her
believe it.
ribs in the middle of a sprint triathlon in Worlds and finished the race anyway.
Did she
Stupidest
really?
thing she's ever done. And I told her that was incredibly dumb of her to try and finish that race. But yeah,
Well, that's what I thought. Okay, maybe
if I fell and
didn't
broke my
break it.
ribs, I would have called Brandy and be like, "It's time." Well,
I
need to
kind
go.
of thought I'm not okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm just gonna ride this out and see how I feel. And like when I got an hour later, I'm like, no, I can't.
No.
I can't.
Can we just make a podcast rule? Like any decent fall, just go get X-rays. Just do like those little like clinics or whatever that are super fast.
Like
get
Seago
X-rays.
Health, yeah.
They might be like, nope, you're fine. Those they don't cost that much. Like, move
No,
on.
it was worth it for me to go in and to find that I didn't collapse a lung. My lungs were good. There was no issues there. So I kind of had to do that. So
Cool. How are you feeling right now?
I took 2 days off.
Yeah.
And then I went out yesterday. I just couldn't. I'm like just going friggin' nuts. I had to.
What'd you do yesterday?
I rode 50 miles
Oh.
on the gravel bike because the gravel bike is a little
The
cushier.
well, yeah, and then did you do that on
Did
the
you ride it
road?
on gravel though?
'Cause it's not cushier when you move onto
Yeah,
the gravel.
I rode.
You were
I rode
gravel.
the Dyke Trail. I rode the Heritage Trail.
Yeah.
Wait, the Dyke Trail? I thought that was closed.
Well, no, it's
Close
closed
at a certain
like
point, yeah.
2 miles into it. Oh, Instead of it being a nice 4-mile trail,
only
now
2
it's
miles
like
now?
a 2-mile trail. So
I think it's only like 3.1 or 2, so I think they took about half of that
they
out.
took about
didn't they?
half of it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you did some easy stuff.
I did some easy stuff.
So naturally, you went for that new KOM, right? Did you just go for the halfway point and then
I
turn
didn't-
around and come back instead of segment?
Well, that's the thing. My legs feel great.
Yeah, they look-
I just took 2 days off, so my legs are like, oh, let's go. I just can't pull on the handlebars.
you should probably
breathe.
spend some time on the trainer now.
Shut up. So,
Shut your dirty mouth.
And race on Friday if you
I
want to join
did.
me.
I did take a couple KOMs on the ride yesterday
Oh
on my
my
gravel
gosh.
bike, but that's a different story.
You're crazy.
So, but yeah, it actually felt fine to ride. I just need to not crash.
You just need to not hit the ground again or
You know,
ride aggressively.
This is one of those things where, okay, I ride 20 hours a week. I'm on the road all the time. Stuff's gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Little things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't want this to be something that spooks me off of riding, and I don't want this
Yeah.
to scare people that, okay, broken ribs are no good, but I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just fine. I'm just gonna be in pain for a little while.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. Road rash is definitely the most manageable part of it.
Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah.
It heals.
Unfortunately, I'm
There's
quite
much worse.
experienced
Yeah.
with road rash.
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
had to shave the hair off my arm because
I could see that.
I different sections because it's just not pretty.
It's not.
Yeah. The road rash is
looks
like
rough.
the least of.
Oh yeah,
your-
yeah. It's just the biggest thing was, are my lungs okay?
Right.
Do I have a broken rib that's going to?
Then you get
Cause
get
a
one of them.
pneumothorax.
Get hooked up on one of
Pneumothorax.
those COVID machines.
Yeah.
Breathe for you.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't want
That's
any
what
of
you
that.
need.
No. Oh, that would have made for a rough week. You go and they're like, oh, and by the way, you're positive for
Oh,
COVID
I
too.
knew you were
Yeah. And you have a pneumothorax.
Right. So
Rough week.
anyway, that was my week. It was a little rough.
Great.
Crashed some bikes. Luckily, I really didn't get hurt that much. So
That much.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you're gonna have to take it easy. Gonna have to take it easy this week.
I'm about to leave town.
No, but that doesn't mean easy for you.
No,
No, you're going to be forced off the bike, though, for a little bit with
yeah,
this trip, right?
I'm doing a 4-day rafting trip where
That's
yeah.
I don't think they have
I'll
bikes on
be-
rafts.
how's the rafting gonna go? Use the lats.
Well, I'm not paddling.
Oh,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm sitting
You
on a
get to
boat.
chill.
I'm
Oh,
just
it's
chilling.
that style, huh?
I have to hold on with my left hand.
Yeah.
because my right hand I can't
Right.
really pull hard.
That's
So-
fine.
Okay.
Isn't Lake going to be there?
Not Lake Kelty.
Oh, Kelty.
Yeah.
Kelty can pull for you. That's good. Yeah.
Well, I'll be on her boat.
Yeah.
So it'll be a good time.
She's probably stronger upper body than you anyway now. So after years of
No,
cycling.
that's not true.
No, dad's always had
At this,
that.
at this
I
moment
have-
with 2 broken ribs, baby.
I have old man strength. I can whoop it all just with my left hand.
I hope Kelty's hearing this.
Oh,
Brandy,
man.
please show him up this weekend.
All right,
That's
I'll
it.
run through mine real quick, and then we'll get on.
Yeah, I'm
got a lot of stuff to
yapping.
cover today.
I'm
so we
yapping and
gotta
yapping and yapping.
Carry on here. Hey guys, 17 Strava entries for me last week.
Whoa.
17.
17.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
17 rides.
Were
to be
you
more
like this?
specific.
Were you like going to the fridge?
Rode the bike to the.
Mowed my lawn.
Arm
Rode the
curls.
bike around
arm
the lawn.
curls. Those were just beer.
No, they were all bicycle entries.
Nice.
I did my first full week of commuting
'cause he's
to and from.
commuting, yeah.
Yes.
So that was awesome.
Yeah.
I think I saw you on like every commute. It's like,
Probably.
Jake's everywhere. He's everywhere.
There were quite a few people that would honk, "Hey, Jake," or
Yeah.
just waving, or like you'd see people out running or riding or
nice.
whatever. So it's kind of neat. But yeah, it's just a touch over 6 miles to get from my house to the lab here,
Yeah.
and it was awesome. Like you get here, and I'm like, besides being sweaty, like full of energy. Like I usually have pretty good energy, but even more so. And I just felt like I had a better disposition all day long, and it was like just wanted to get more work done. So this commuting thing, guys, I think there's something to it.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you got like 11 hours in last week. Actually, 11 and a half.
11 and a half hours.
200 miles.
Yeah.
Jake got more miles than I did.
That's big.
Wow.
Yeah. You just need Lance to crash more and Jake to commute to work each
Yeah.
week.
If I didn't have to go to the doctor on Saturday, that's a whole nother thing. I would have done another ride with Sean, which would have been another 40 miles, I think is what they ended up doing. I had to pass on that, though, and then I ended up taking Sunday off. I'm going to try and make that my off day for a little while, even though I know the next couple Sundays I've got things planned for rides, but neither here nor there. I think that extra 3.5 hours a week of commuting is going to bode well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little benefits that come along from that. So The mountain bike ride with Lance was fun. I
had a good
wasn't
time.
supposed to be on a mountain bike yet, but don't tell Evan.
I did see that already. Yeah.
That was still fun though. I took it really easy, and it was just kind of nice to be on that bike. That bike's super comfortable to ride on, and that full squish is just superb.
Yeah.
Splendid. And then
We had a good time.
the hot laps with Sean and Nels, that was fun. That's a nice little workout. It's a 20-ish minute little loop around the lake, and there are segments for the 1 lap, for the 2 laps, and for the 3 laps. So you can kind of go out there and chase all of those. And we went pretty solid and set some new marks for each one of those. Well, actually, the 2 lap and the 3 lap times. The 1 lap time is still pretty solidly held by Dustin.
Oh, I thought you had it.
I did until Dustin came along.
Oh, okay.
Dustin is a strong man.
Yes,
he is.
Yes, he is.
The ultimate KOM hunter.
Yep.
Dustin actually tried to do a Y-easting attempt on a gravel road this last weekend.
Oh, he did?
He's going to go back out there and do it again, but he blew out on the descent. He destroyed one of his tubeless, and he could not repair
Couldn't
it.
fix the tire.
Couldn't fix it, but he's going to go out and do it again.
Yeah.
So that was my week. Let's move on. Ask a PT. Let's see here. I got some questions about some
here we
bikes.
go.
I have some ideas, and they should all. Let's move away from cycling and move towards
Matt's
running.
hijacking this from me.
What?
This is a running podcast.
I'm not sure if you knew this, but this is a running podcast.
We'll let it be the running podcast for the next 5 minutes.
Achilles issues.
Oh, no, I'm doing this in under 2 minutes. I'm actually setting
Oh.
a timer for myself this
Okay.
time.
How about Achilles issues or calf explosion for old
Okay,
old men?
specifically calf explosions. All right. Well, for one, if your calf is actually exploding, there's probably some other issues. I would immediately go to your doctor.
See your doctor.
Yeah, see
My
the
doctor is
emergency room.
sitting across the table from me, and he's all scabbed up.
All scabbed up.
Go immediately see your dentist.
His
Yes.
recommendation is to go all out on some small KOM that you
Correct.
already have.
Yes,
that's
that is correct.
That's his recommendation
Yes.
for calf explosion.
All right, so 2 minutes. Achilles tendonitis or Achilles tendinopathy, as I like to. I think that in physical
Right.
therapy and medicine, we're starting to shift to calling chronic issues with we'll just talk about the Achilles specifically, to be a tendinopathy, which basically just means a tendon dysfunction. A dysfunction in its baseline ability to complete the task you want it to. So, very, very common in top-end runners. And not that I'm trying to toot Matt's horn here, but it really is generally something that develops in very top-end runners. Go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, it's not completing the task that I wanted to, which is break 2 hours in the marathon.
Yes, exactly. It hasn't quite done that for you yet.
It's failed me. It's completely failed me.
So, when we're talking about a tendon's ability to load, that is where we're talking about. Think about running when you land on that foot, your Achilles has to accept a certain amount of force, and then it has to basically release that force. So like a rebound effect. Think of it that way. It's got to load, and then it's got to release that energy to spring you forward. Literally think of it as a spring. If you take a coil and you compress it and then you let it go, it should be able to spring back. Now, running, you do that a ton of times over a very long period of time. You put a certain load in. If it's not able to manage that load, the number one thing you have to do is look at your training. It is generally a training issue.
Like volume.
Volume, intensity, anything there. Once you've looked at that, there's a lot of other things we can work with. And as Matt is known with working with me with PT, a lot of it is, imagine that the Achilles has to do more work if you're not stable when you land on one leg.
Right.
So imagine trail running. When you trail run, you feel super sloppy all over the place, and your legs just feel sort of jiggly, and you feel like you're losing energy everywhere. That's because you are losing energy everywhere.
Sure.
And that means your Achilles has to work harder. Your patellar tendon, another very important tendon, has to work harder. So think of as the efficiency of that load distribution is just as important as the actual loading itself. So what I tell people is you got to look at your training. We got to work on your balance. We got to work on the strength of the calf complex, which is what Matt's been doing a good job of, I think, focusing on over the last year or two, which I don't know when you were...
Not good enough.
I would say when you were younger, you probably didn't focus on that as much when you were running 100 miles a week and everything, which
True.
when we're young, we can kind of get away with for a while. But as tendons change as we age, and they do not have this nice coiled rope-like distribution anymore, they start to fray and they start to straighten out a little bit. So it's a different type of tendon. Best example is watch a 20-year-old NBA product jump at 42 inches and watch himself at 40 jump. Not the same. There's a reason for that. Tendon changes. But yeah, what'd I do? Oh, that was 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
Almost 3 minutes.
I was close. I was 45 seconds off. Okay.
I'm glad you set a timer and then didn't look at it.
I know. I didn't glance at it once.
Well, and I definitely interrupted you too. So
Well, and I treat a lot of Achilles issues in runners, so it is something I really like talking about. That was actually hard to truncate that down
Yeah,
to 2 minutes, so
totally.
I'll do better next time. But yeah.
Yeah, we've got a nice little video that
Yes,
Evan
we
and
have.
I put together, and it's done. It needs to be uploaded to YouTube, and it's probably something that you're going to want to check out if you're into this whole running thing. So
Yep.
we'll post that up on the Dialed podcast.
Talking about plyometrics, and I swear Jake was the one who put the video together, did all the editing, so it looks awesome. If I was the one doing that, you might not want to check it out. But I have multiple people at this table who excel with cameras.
But you know what?
Yeah. It's going to be good
In
to see.
front of the camera, you're the man.
I know, right?
You're
like-
well there.
One
You're
take
like one
every
take
single
for-
time. He doesn't fumble over anything. He's to the point, and just it's seamless. I don't have to edit anything, so it's like super simple.
Yeah, but if you handed me a camera and say take one halfway decent picture, 3 weeks later I wouldn't come up with a single one that's worth taking.
Yeah, I just wish I had more time to be putting more videos out for Matt. Or not Matt, well, Matt too, but
Yeah,
for
you need to
Evan.
put more videos
I know.
out for me to watch.
So if YouTube wants to just sponsor us, we could just make videos.
YouTube does
and
want
just
to
do it.
sponsor
Yeah,
us.
I think they do.
They're going to give you
That in
they're going to give you
Kirkland.
ad
That
revenue.
in Kirkland. Yeah.
It's going to be like a penny on the 1,000 views. So
We
good
make
luck.
million.
Hey.
A million.
Patreon update.
Oh,
Oh, is that the new Patreon update thing?
Yeah, got some new little things going on here, guys. Sorry,
He's got a soundboard.
We've got a new Patreon, John Hoffman.
John.
Oh, very
boy,
cool.
John
John
Hoffman.
Hoffman is a triathlete.
John may be a
Oh, yeah.
triathlete, but let me. So, little story about John. John is also becoming like a little cycling historian.
Yeah.
which is fun. Very few people want to nerd out with me about like old cycling stuff. He will every couple weeks bring in a new book for me to be reading.
that's cool.
I'm reading a book that's a biography of the old 7-Eleven team, the
Oh, wow.
American team that
Oh,
Andy
yeah.
Hampstead
Sure,
was
yeah,
on.
yeah.
John knows his stuff. He'll sit there and talk to you about like random stages from the late 90s, early 2000s. Like,
Wow.
he is a cycling historian. He really is.
There was a guy, I saw an article, I can't remember his name, the oldest living tour stage winner had a birthday this past
How
weekend.
old is he?
100 years old.
Whoa.
Emil ID.
Yes.
IDEE.
Yeah, he just turned 100. When did he win his stage? Does it
Winner
say?
of stage 13 of the 1949 Tour de France.
Oh, yeah, that was
Post World War II.
71 years
Also one of
ago.
the first tours after
That
the
was a
World
good
War
one,
II.
guys.
Yeah.
You guys should have seen a stage win back then. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, it was an awesome climbing stage,
Tore up
and
the
he
gravel
just
road.
he put away the whole peloton.
All 7 of them.
Listen to this.
They didn't look like they were standing still.
The winner of stage 13 of the 1949 Tour de France recalls racing in Nazi-occupied France and
Wow.
winning his national championship.
Wow.
There are some stories from those eras that are just to think how supported the tour is now. There were time periods there's like losing guys during the tour. Just guys would not make it to the next like stage. You're like, all right, I don't know where he's at.
Amazing.
Crazy. Anyway, thank you, John Hoffman, for joining the ranks of the Dial Podcast Patreons. Our quick spotlight is our Patreon, Mike Back. He has been putting together some pretty good training blocks. He, last week, put in 13.5 hours of training and knocked out a nice
Wow.
little 74-mile bike ride on Saturday, and it looks like he's getting it done out there. So good job,
He's
Mike.
been swimming with us on Sundays too.
Good.
Cool.
Getting out there and jumping in the water. Yep.
Keep training hard, doing cool things.
Good job, Mike.
Yeah, he does cool things.
Appreciate that. For sure. Hey, we got another new little segment here. Mr. Jesse Tonkinson, our good friend of the show, Jesse Tonkinson, has recently moved to Spokane, Washington, and he is starting his med school program out there with the University of Washington. And he and I were chatting, and he has a little thing that he wants to do, so we're going to integrate it into the show. We thought it was kind of a neat little thing. We're going to call it the Med Stud Minute with Tonk.
Med student minute.
Med Stud Minute with Tonk.
This is gonna be a segment, huh?
That
a little
flows so much
segment.
A lot of
better.
pressure, Tonk.
That's really our best title for a
So-
segment.
Yeah.
Exactly. So here's that. Hopefully it sounds okay. Have a listen.
Are you ruining your 365-day training plan with that evening beer? What's up, Dialed Podcast? It's your favorite Cat 3 medical student here, Tonk. Welcome to the Med Minute, the segment where we dive into some interesting research and help us all become better athletes. Today, we go through the Beer Hit study published in May within the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition and was conducted as a doctoral thesis at the University of Granada, Spain. This 10-week placebo-controlled interventional study looks at the impact of 1 to 2 drinks of alcohol daily on fitness, strength, and power.
Only
HIIT,
1 to 2.
high-intensity interval training, is well known and is very efficient in increasing your fitness. Beer drinking, however, has not often been thought of as a well-known way to increase your fitness and maybe even negate a good workout or training day. A brief disclaimer, this study defines drinking as moderate, which is 330 milliliters of 5.4% beer daily for women, and twice that, 660 milliliters of 5.4% beer for men. and that you should talk to your healthcare provider before beginning any nutrition or exercise program, especially if you're at the age or appearance of being a grandparent. And yes, I did just talk about beer drinking as a nutrition program. Anyway, let's get into the study. This study has 73 participants who were divided into 5 groups. 4 of these groups participated in the 10 weeks of the HIT program, where the other one was the non-training control. Of the 4 training groups, 2 received 1 to 2 alcoholic beverages about 5 days a week, and the other 2 were given a placebo alcohol-free beer or water. What were the results? The interesting thing within the 4 training groups was that there was no significant difference in the VO2 max or muscular trait improvements that they all saw. So basically, it didn't matter if they drank or not. I think this is encouraging for many of us who can sometimes start feeling guilty for having, 1 to 2 drinks a day, either at the end of a workout or, with your spouse at the end of the day. The study also references previous work that their group did, showing that the moderate intake of beer did not impair the gain of lean mass after a similar 10-week HIT program. So, in conclusion, you can get your PhD in anything and relax. 1 to 2 beers a day won't ruin your 365-day training plan. Next time on Med Minute, I'll explain how couch potato mice can double the number of their new neurons and how you can get a cognitive boost from exercise. Tonk out.
Thanks, Tonk. That was pretty cool.
I think we just need to make a subsection of our podcast, of just Tonk's podcast. Just very well spoken.
The Med Minute there was pretty good, even though it was a couple minutes. But hey, we'll let that slide, right?
Hey, you're still closer to the mark than I was. So
no concept of time.
Love it.
Time on this podcast anyway is kind of like fish stories, right?
It's a big
black
hole.
How'd you do on that segment? Oh, I was this fast. Well,
yeah. I love that study. They just so. I mean, you think about historically with cycling, alcohol has always been a part of cycling. It literally used to be what we talk about that 1949 tour. I bet the guy who won that stage drank beer at some point during that stage. They all used to. So, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's some benefits to probably laying off it a little bit, but makes me feel a little bit better.
Hey, Champ, come here and do the sports for us.
Champ Bailey here.
Champ Bailey.
Champ Bailey.
Back in the house.
A little broken and bruised, but he's here.
Is there anything to actually talk about?
Barely.
I didn't.
There's
know
actually
anything
no real world tour news. It's all been rumors and speculation at this point. It's all Froome and Bernal, and Bernal saying yes, I'll work for Froome, or Grant if that's what I'm needed to do. But I think he's just walking the party line right now there. I don't think
he'd make a great politician.
Right.
I saw that interview with him. I was like, wow, what a wonderful future politician.
There was also rumors that Froome wouldn't even get picked for the Ineos tour team. No friggin' way.
And meanwhile, nobody's talked to Geraint Thomas
No.
because he doesn't care.
Right. So
He's getting paid. He doesn't care.
No.
Just ride his bike.
So no real world news. Around here, we did have a mountain bike race in Bend, Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
The High Cascade 100. It was also a Mike Ripley mudslinger event.
Believe it or not.
So it was a 100-mile bike race on mountain bikes. I had not planned on doing it because that sounded terrible to me.
It's a very long race.
It's a very long race.
day.
He did the same kind of things he did for his other thing. It was like time trial-ish format, where there was a timed section that was like 77 miles. The rest of it was getting to the start and getting back from the finish. But there was a 77-mile section that was timed.
He seems to have a system that's working.
It's working.
And during COVID. Good for it. That's a model people may want to look at here going through the rest of
There's
this
a will,
next
there's a
year.
way.
Yeah, very impressive.
It was actually won by pro mountain biker Stefano Barberi.
Wow.
Yeah, he came.
I bet some people traveled for that
He
race.
came into town for the race.
Yeah.
So, and I think before that he'd been training with Phil Guyman.
So
fun.
So
he was fit.
came in. He was fit. He did the time section in like 6 hours and 20 minutes. He won by about 4 minutes.
Dang.
So it was still pretty
10th
tight.
place was a professional triathlete I've actually raced, Curtis Feltner.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Go Curtis.
No,
Making the
you know,
top
what
10
else are they
in
going to do?
mountain bikers.
There's all these triathletes and cyclists in the Bend area, but these people traveled. We did have 3 teammates that went down and did it.
Yes, sir.
Chris Surratt, Terry Hamdes Jr. and Eric Taft. They all competed in it, so good for them.
How'd they do? Do you remember? Did Surratt do okay?
I think if you just
He
make it through that
loves
race,
her.
that's amazing.
Surratt competes in the 40 to 49 category, and I think he was in the top quarter of it.
Yeah,
This
guy
is a-
likes to race, man.
Yeah, he likes to race. It's a long day.
Yeah, but that's like right up his alley. Like 100-mile, yeah, he can do it.
That's one of the reasons why I ended up beating him in a few cyclocross races last year, because he was in 100-mile shape, not 50 minute shape. So, yeah, they all did great. It was good for them for doing that. So, big things. There was also a time trial up in the Seattle area. Again, they had one the week before. Time trial is something we can actually put off during COVID times if they're in counties that will allow it to happen. And so the venue for the time trial had to be switched to a different place because the city revoked their permit to do it that they were supposed to hold it in. So they just moved it back to the same city they had it in. City, we're talking tiny little town of 3,000 in the Seattle area. So that was won by Will Teal. He's, I believe, from the area of Seattle. Didn't really know anybody else in the results. We did have a local guy, Rob Tornai, who races for Pacific Office Automation Team, which is here in the Portland area. He went up and did the race. He actually took third overall as a master athlete.
Yeah, Rob he's a super cool guy. He's super strong on the bike. I raced against him a bunch of times. He's always fun to race with.
Yeah, super strong.
Cool.
Dang.
Champ out.
Champ Bailey. See you next time.
All right, our topic for today, mental toughness and mental preparation. You guys got anything to say about that?
When is mental toughness dumb?
Oh, well put. Well put.
When you fracture 2 ribs and decide
At mile 3,
and decide
and I
15
still
more miles
rode
was a good idea.
19 more miles before I got home.
So what do you guys have to say about this? There's a couple things that have come up. That there was an article I sent you. Then there was another one by the Dylan Johnson guy on YouTube that we enjoy watching. He put out a little video, and I thought that this might be something good for us to talk about because we all have to, kind of get through certain obstacles and humps, and being able to do that with a little bit of mental fortitude is sometimes necessary. So what do you guys got to say? Do I need to find the crickets button here?
So
Has Matt, have you read Endure yet? Because I feel like I've cited that book on here before.
yeah, I haven't read it yet.
Okay, it's a book by
I'm
Alex.
gonna borrow it from you because you talk about it sometimes.
Yeah,
so
it's
I'll borrow it.
it's a book by Alex Hutchinson, who was on the Breaking 2 project, which was when Kipchoge went under 2 hours. And not to bring
Well,
running back into this, but when we're talking about
a
mental fortitude, we're
running
talking about a
podcast.
guy who's got,
He's got some.
pretty decent amount of mental fortitude. But I like the points that he was making throughout that is like what limits human performance. Because I think whenever we're talking about mental toughness, it's meandering and finding our ways around those barriers, which is different for every single person. For some people, running under 24 minutes in a 5K would be an immense amount of mental fortitude, a ton, you know, so much. Same idea with somebody just making it through their first century. So I think it's all relative, really relative. Because I know some very talented aerobic athletes that I would say lacked a lot of mental fortitude, that I think were just gifted quite a bit. And then it's a sport that requires a threshold of mental fortitude because you got to be able to train over and over to ever get faster. But I think it's when we're talking about certain levels, there's definitely like, here's your mental fortitude that is required to be racing at this level. But yeah, I think it depends on the person and the situation.
So let me just throw a couple questions out there for you guys. First one, and we'll run around the table, and then you guys can respond accordingly. What is the toughest thing that you've ever had to overcome or endure while doing any kind of fitness or training or a race? And how did you do that? What did you use to focus on? Lance, I know that you've done some pretty nuts stuff, and I can think of some multi-day gravel stage races that were probably pretty difficult, but that's probably the first thing that comes to mind for you, but I'm sure there might be something else too. What is it for you? What was the hardest thing, and how did you come over it?
Actually, for me, the the first thing that comes to mind was my Ironman triathlon race. I hate to bring this back to triathlon.
I thought it was going to be the Beijing, or when you did the Great Wall
Either way,
Marathon.
it's going to get brought back to triathlon no matter what. So you might as well start.
So when I ran a marathon on the Great Wall, I did not have any time goal, anything. It was just finish. And so because I had no goal other than finish, didn't hurt as much.
You didn't have to push steep.
Yeah. So I had different goals for that. When I did Ironman Canada, I think it was 2005. I can't remember now. When I did Ironman Canada, and I was trying to qualify for the World Championships in Kona, and I've told this story before, but I was done. I felt like my body was done at mile 3 of the marathon.
Yeah.
And how many miles are in a marathon?
There's 26.2 miles.
You only had 23.2.
I had 23.2 miles to go. I was at mile 3 thinking, no way.
I think it's when Vegan Cyclist also said he hated
finish
running
this.
during his video.
But that was one of those things where I was already in a very good position in the race.
Right.
I had a goal of trying to finish not just in a certain time, but a certain place in the race. And I just pushed everything else out of my head and just said, okay, I feel like that's the other crazy thing. When you think that you're done and you're about to die, there's a whole lot left.
Oh, yeah, there is.
I ran for 3.5 more hours.
Yeah. That's the scarier thing to realize, actually.
Right.
That's almost where, like, I think not, like, blowing up, some people may say, like, oh, man, he put it all in and blew up. I think not blowing up is the more tough thing to do, of like dance right on that line.
Right.
Because that's a line you can actually hold for a pretty scary long time.
Yeah.
You hold that line for way too long.
Well, and that's what happened. By mile 15, I was like walking every aid station, but barely holding on and not stopping. But when I got to mile 25 and I had a mile to go, and I realized how close I was, I just
then you can go.
I just put my head down and went, and I was going so hard, and I've told the story before, that my peripheral vision was closing on me. I could see the peripheral vision, these black edges slowly creeping towards the center of my vision, and I knew if that went all the way, I was tumbling.
Yeah, you're down.
I was out, and so I'm running at a blistering pace. It was probably 9-minute pace
Doesn't
at this
matter
point.
At that point.
We don't know. Could have been 6.
It could have been 6.
Let's
It
just
could have
go
been
with
close
6.
at 420. We have no idea.
We'll go with sub 6.
But I would be like,
The GPS was out by this point.
I'd pick up the pace, and this blackness would creep towards the middle of my vision, and I would back off a little bit, and it would creep back out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am on the edge. And I was able to push all the way to the end. I ran the whole marathon. It was barely under 4 hours. I think I ran like a 3:58 or a 3:59. I did not qualify for Kona. I missed the spot by like 90 seconds. But what that taught me was, okay, I'm able to push a whole lot farther than I thought, because there was probably a point, 5-6 miles into the race, where I probably should have just called it a day and not even finished the race.
Yeah.
But I went that much farther, and that was all about what was in my head, what was pushing me, all this work I'd done for like 3 years leading up to this. There was so much riding on this race. I just had this goal that would not leave my mind.
Yeah.
And I realized that a lot of endurance sports, it's about pain management. How well do you handle the pain? Mm-hmm. Running fast, that's about pain management, other than there's
excruciating amount of pain.
There's excruciating amount of pain.
And it doesn't really matter the distance.
Was
it could be 10K, 5K, or marathon.
Wasn't there a professional marathoner who used to call himself? He said, "I'm not a professional runner. I'm a professional pain manager." I actually think he used that exact term.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the coach was though. I'm gonna think of it here at some point. But he harked on exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
that's what I found that it's for me. So
I definitely agree with every part of that. Like Ironman definitely for me is when I think of like when did you go deep, where when did you have to be mentally tough, definitely Ironman, definitely in the marathon of the Ironman.
Yeah.
And same thing, I find and I don't think this is an example of me having mental strength, but I got so bad off at by mile 22 or whatever. I'm just angry at the whole situation, thinking like, I'm not going to break 10 hours because I'm so toast right now. And all I have to do is run 10-minute pace to finish it up. And I would break 10 hours. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And then you get to a certain point and it's like 2 miles to go and then back going 7-minute pace.
Right.
Which is
like the
ridiculous.
system just clicks in all of a sudden. Yeah.
Your body kind of comes around.
You're like, I can taste the finish line, and it's not great, but like you can ignore the pain enough for those last 2 miles. But like, why couldn't I have done that, for the last 6 miles or whatever it was?
And this is
mental toughness.
And this is why I definitely want you to read that book I'm talking
Sure.
about. They go into one chapter. They talk really, really well about the importance of interval training goes to actually starting to inhibit your mind's reaction to an impulse. Right. So think of it like, we'll bring it back to biking. At the end of the day, are you building up mitochondria density, capillary density, improving your central aerobic ability? Yeah, those things are all happening as you're, building your big training load. But one of the more important things that I really think actually gets shoved away is the fact that, let's say you want to do 10 by 2 minutes at 300 watts. You guys know there's some days you'll jump on the bike and that feels not easy, but very manageable.
Yeah.
It feels like you could do 5 more. There's some days you hop on there and do 2 and it feels terrible. What was different about those 2 days? A lot of it comes down to that central inhibitor. Your mind does not want to go to certain places. The more you train your mind to continually be exposed to that impulse, the easier it feels the next time. So mental toughness is really something you have to practice, just like anything else. Just like swim form, just like run form, just like bike intervals, just like cornering. You have to practice it.
Growing up doing it like Lance did is gonna help.
Yeah.
Like every activity you did growing up, all that track stuff, you practice being mentally tough. So I think there's some real value there. It's not going to come easy all the time, but it's definitely going to help that you have a history of being mentally tough.
One of the stories that I tell people in any type of long endurance event, whether it's a century ride or it's an Ironman or it's a marathon or something like that, this could even be a 5K or your first, road race. There's going to come a point in that race where you have to have one thing pushing you on beyond what think you've planned for. It can't just be, I'm just doing this for my health.
Right.
Or it might not even be, I just want to make it to the finish line, because you can make it, you can walk to the finish line. You can walk your bike to the finish line. You could do that. But if you want to perform, there's going to be a point where everything is telling your body to quit, and you have to embrace that and say, no.
My goal is more important.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. My goal is more
important. For you, it was like qualifying for Ironman, right? And for me, like that was like, I have to break 10 hours. This is ridiculous if I don't do it, right? Like there's anger there. There was that goal in mind. I mean, obviously I wanted to qualify for world championships and other stuff too, but like the 10 was there and it was close, and it was like, this is going to be a close one. I better step it up and make it happen. And I think just, I think anytime you've done athletics for a long time too, you embrace those goals, and you've learned to figure out like a goal is going to be scary and it's going to be hard, and you're going to have to hurt to do it. So I think the other part, we've probably seen in some of the articles and things like that, is that knowing that it's going to hurt and embracing that pain is going to make it better. No, making pain your friend, right? Where it's like, I'm going to do a workout tomorrow. That's going to hurt. This is part of the process. Hurting is good. If it didn't hurt, then I got to go harder because it's supposed to hurt. Yeah. So this familiarity with hurt, familiarity with pain, and then embracing it.
Yeah, there has to be like a mental reframing of that too, because I think maybe people have been around endurance sports a lot. You watch like Kona's coverage of Ironman, or you watch the Tour de France, and all you see is like what looks like self-induced suffering, basically. No Tour de France winners ever looked awesome on the 20th turn of Alpe d'Huez ever. Like they look like they're in a rough place. But I'll cite Phil Guyman's best as this is self-selected suffering, and if you don't enjoy it, it's not worth it. So, I mean, he put it very, very well when we're talking about once you get into that mental negative mindset of this sucks, this is just suffering, why am I doing this? You've already lost the battle at that point because you're probably not going to be able to reproduce that over and over again.
Right.
You may be fast for a year or two, but you're not making a lifetime out of endurance sports then. You've got to find those moments where it's like, man, this sucks. And that is a good thing. This is really fun right now. Like, and it's you, if you can find in those moments where it sucks bad, you know, I mean, I'll just, and I know I already told the whole story, but I'll use that Everest example. And I told Lance, that was a blast until 10 hours.
Right.
Like, which, you know, I mean, 10 hours of climbing should be very uncomfortable and suffering. It was uncomfortable, but
And the last hour was terrible.
oh, it was not fun. Yeah, I mean, there was not fun, but there was moments during that where I had to keep on telling myself, like, well, the first 10 hours was fun. You got to find give me 2 seconds of fun every 60 seconds. Like, that's it. I had to keep on playing that mental game of like, okay, think of something fun. Think of something enjoyable.
Yeah.
That's good. I think mentally is, I mean, one of the things that took me a very long time to learn was if I'm happy in a race, I will race well.
Oh, yeah.
And that was
Because your mind doesn't inhibit then.
right.
When
It's
you're
like,
happy, your mind's going to be less likely to inhibit.
you're everything. It's just everything is easier. So you have to have that moment where you're like, take a deep breath, like whatever. Look at the tree. The tree is pretty. Like whatever it is, that mental break for me to just take that second off of the suffering and the pain or whatever, and be like. And even in an Ironman, like I remember swimming the Arizona spot, and it was like that water's gross. It's not a great swim, and I was like, I am so glad that I get to swim and bike and run all day today. Like it was just like I was so happy. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like just thankful that I was able to do that. And I think that makes a lot of the harder stuff a lot easier. And then I also think I perform better.
Yeah.
When I'm in that mood. So
especially in those like self-deprecating kind of disappointing moments, if you can find some positivity in that, it'll help you in the next moments. Because like I mean, we're all talking about things that last hours.
Right.
And hours and hours and hours. I mean, you're talking about an Ironman, you're like 9-10 hours, talking about a century, or at least 5-6 hours.
Even collegiately when I was racing like 8K cross country or 10K on the track, right? Because those are very, well, the 10K on the track is super monotonous,
Look at that pole again. There's the pole again.
Like, but you have
pole.
your lap. Did I hit my split? Got to be 74. Need to hit my split. And it's like, you come through and you're just like, then you're on the straightaway again, and it's basically, I mean, it's super mind numbing. But you can take your mind somewhere else and be like, "Hey, it's a night 10K. This is cool."
Yeah,
and like that's enough for me to be like, "Okay, this is going to be a good race."
Yeah.
Or the opposite can sometimes happen, where you're like, "That didn't go well. This is going to be ugly.
I wanted.
This is going to be bad."
This is the first mile, and that guy's moving very fast.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I can.
A lot of it's like when you get past. And then you get past again. And like those are just, I mean, I think all of us struggle. And I see this as a coach a lot where it's like, this person's great until they get past and then they are done. They just shut down. So, and I think it happens to me or everyone, getting past is hard.
But it's similar in a bike race.
Yep.
Say you're in a breakaway with 6 other guys and you lose contact with the 6 guys.
Yeah.
As soon as you're off the back, and you realize you can't get back on because you gapped a little too much, your brain just goes,
I think
I'm done.
I think
I'm going back to the peloton.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think bike racing has got to be and this would be tough. I think mentally bike racing is the toughest because I still remember that sensation of being like dropped from a pack. I mean, you can in triathlon that kind of happens.
It honestly,
and I'm
even
somebody who's been dropped from quite a few packs this last year. So
and you and I both kind of like tend to work our way through the field as we go
exactly.
through, which helps, I think.
Yeah.
But also, I still think that if someone passes you in triathlon, it's not as big of a deal.
No. Bike racing, that's big.
If it's like
over.
3 people passed you and you're going back to the pack or something like that, you're checked out.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's mentally very difficult.
Yeah, like on a climb, if you're in the peloton, you're like getting dropped out the back. It's not like you'd be like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll catch him later." No, it's like you're pretty much gone at that point. You're gonna have to put in a monstrous effort. So
yeah. And
it's
even if you're pushing,
tough
even if you're pushing ridiculous watts, and you're like, I'm gonna push 400 watts for a big block of time, and you don't make any progress, it's like, that's. Like, I guess I'm done. Like, there's no, I don't know.
Rough.
It's very hard to be that
rough.
mentally tough.
Yes.
And maybe someone's there that can do it. Be like, I got dropped off the pack and I had to hammer the whole last little bit. And I pushed hard and great. But I think all of us somewhere in there are just like, no. I don't know.
Don't always give up, though, because you never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
A road race is like a weird animal, weird beast. I actually had a race that we did before COVID times, before car accidents and all that other stuff. It was the Montanore road race. So it was back when they still did 8 laps of that particular race. I was racing in the Masters field, and it was 48 or 50 miles, something like that. I was not feeling well that day at all. I didn't have any power. I did 0 work, like literally 0 work at the front of the peloton. That's not my MO. I was barely able to like support my teammates. I fell out of the caravan twice, and the chase car came around me, and I'm like, my day's over. And for whatever reason, the peloton slowed up in certain sections because of the antics, because of certain people not wanting to pull or different dynamics that were going on. That happened twice. Both times, I jumped back into the group.
Yeah.
And I kept riding. And I remember Michael Myers was in that field. And we came around to the end, and I felt like crap the entire race, like absolutely terrible. And when the end came and you had to do that that last climb up, that little corkscrew climb, I can't remember what the name of the climb is, to the finish line for the hilltop finish, something happened in my body. And I knew that I wasn't personally going to do well, but I wanted to help Michael because Michael was in a good position to potentially win his race. And I gave it everything that I had up that, and I ended up actually getting second place in my field. And I felt terrible for that because I literally did nothing the entire day. I took full advantage of just sitting on wheels all day long. I don't understand how it did, but and Michael just missed first place. By it was maybe like half a wheel length, and we've got a picture of him, and I think he actually got a verbal warning from Obra for a little choice word at the finish line. But yeah, it was a weird thing how your body can sometimes just summons, like when you kind of focus on something, and that was that one thing for me. It was like, I want to help Michael.
Yes.
And I didn't think I was going to last as long as I did. I'm like, if I can be good for one thing, I'm going to help a teammate out for a period of this to lead him up a climb and to let him get a little bit of a draft advantage and sitting on my wheel, and I'm going to tuck her out and I'm going to be done. And for some reason, I was able to go a little bit longer, those competitive juices, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what ended up happening. I very easily could have, and I almost did 3 times going around those 8 laps. I almost stopped and just rode back to the staging area and just called it a day because I really did not feel well. And I just said no. And for me, I can't stand the idea of looking back at my race results and seeing a DNF.
Yeah.
That DNF right there was a huge motivating factor for me. I'm like, that's not going to happen. The only time a DNF is going to happen for me is if I go down and I'm just not physically able to ride a bike again. So anyway, those were a couple things.
Has anybody DNF'd here?
No.
I'm sure I have.
I know once in a Wednesday
have.
night local triathlon, my bike broke.
Yeah.
But that was it. Like
that
the
was
bike
my
actually
only
broke.
DNF.
But yeah.
I slashed a tire in a Portland short track race, and it just would not hold any air anything. And I just threw in the towel in that race.
Yeah, PIR, I think it's it. Lance, have you ever DNF'd?
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And I can't. Nothing's coming to mind.
Do we all have kind of a? I think everybody at this table's got the same idea. I noticed when I got in the sport, I remember like my mom, and I was talking about this before, has done some incredibly, I know she's listening to this, incredibly stupid finishes before, where it's like she should have just called it a day. She finished the Sprint World Championships for triathlon on 2 broken ribs after a fall. So I remember when I got in sports scene, that as an example, I was always like, you just don't DNF. Yeah. Like just, if you're, it's almost like that Jan, now I'm not comparing myself to Jan Frodeno by any means, but Jan Frodeno went into Kona one year, the defending champion, and walked the marathon.
That I respect that a lot.
I gave so much respect.
Daniela Reef, same thing. I was like,
same thing, yeah.
I was like, that girl's tough.
I think, and I'm not trying to talk down any of that. I'll just talk only about the pros, because there are other situations in the age group where it's like, yes, for your health, please do not finish it. Like, you finishing this race would be very dangerous to your health. But from a pro perspective, I lose a ton of respect for somebody who DNFs.
I think there's different spots, right?
That's just my gut reaction from it.
If you see someone throwing up on the side of the road, like I remember probably one of the first DNFs I ever had was like, shoe in to qualify for state. Didn't qualify because I'm on the side of the track throwing up. Yeah. And it's like
different story.
And I threw up, did another lap, kept throwing up or whatever, and then and little Matt's like laying on the side of the track. I'm just like, I can't finish this race. And it was something short, like a mile or 2 mile or something like that. It wasn't long.
Yeah.
But like, the coach is like, yeah, it doesn't matter. You stepped off the track anyway. You had thrown up. You would have been disqualified or whatever. But like, yeah, you're done. You know, he didn't care. But I'm just thinking like, I didn't finish a race. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But I think when you see, like, I'm thinking of Sarah True, same sort of thing where she was very dizzy.
I don't even count that as a DNF for her because.
Well, what do you call that? It's a DNF.
I know, but God, that's such a different story. Well, like when you know, so anybody who doesn't know the story, Sarah True in. Oh God, what was
Germany?
It was in Frankfurt, wasn't it?
Frankfurt, yes.
Frankfurt full.
And she
needed
very
this
hot.
to qualify for Kona.
She had one more chance to qualify for Kona. She's one of the top Americans, if not the top American.
Yeah.
And she was extremely dizzy, and you see it. And they're following her.
She's in the lead.
She's in the lead
with like 200 meters left.
They're following her with the camera. All she has to do to finish, and she looked horrible. Yeah. If you ask her about it, she's like, they should have let me finish, because she basically like passed out and like wiped out, and then the medic people are helping her, and then next thing, because she doesn't know anything what's going on at that point. So
she was trying to wave them off, actually, if I remember right.
I think
because one of the medics I think came up to her a little bit earlier when she was walking, and the walk just looked terrible. Like the walk looked like, oh God, somebody grab her. Like,
it's
this is going to be bad.
It's the super drunk walk, right?
Yeah.
It's like the
and she was like waving them off, and this is the very dangerous part of endurance sports.
Yes.
I'm talking about that DNF to me doesn't count, because you got to look at him at each scenario, and with 200 meters left in the lead, there's something bad that happened there.
Right, medically
necessary
I don't think she should
DNFs.
have finished that one.
Yeah. There are DNFs where people just aren't feeling it that day, and that's, I don't know, that just sits with me wrong at that top level.
I used to know, and I used to actually see this a lot with foreign athletes, like in particular, I hate to call it like a country, but like all these like British runners, and it was like they'd be running and they would get past and they would just step off the track. Like, nope.
See, I don't like that. Yeah,
I it was like, and we used to have a name
rubs
for
you
it.
the wrong
We'd
way.
be like,
Yeah.
hey, mental, any sort of like, anytime that happened, like, this person immediately got like the mental midget. Like,
exactly.
That's your new nickname. Like,
exactly.
That's your game. Like, and it was just like, you can't do this. You can't do this sport. You're not tough enough. Like, it was tough, but granted, they're thinking, well, I don't want my name next to this time, and I still have a lot of high school athletes that don't want to do a tough course. They don't want their name next to a time that's certain, slow or whatever it is.
Man, I've had my name next to some real bad times.
Yeah, but like I think you have to
a half marathon before.
You have to realize like no one's really looking at this stuff.
No, nobody cares.
And if they are, then prove them wrong the next time. Go out there and be like, yeah, that was a fluke. People have bad races.
Yeah,
and it's very hard to tell a high school kid that, but
it's a good lesson to learn at that age. Yeah.
Man, we were lucky that we had less internet, or no internet,
right,
because
well, and that's like, I mean, for me, bringing it back to cycling too. You think of like the sprinters in the autobus of the Tour de France. I got so much respect for those guys. Those guys are trying to make a cutoff time from people who weigh 50 pounds less than they do. Soaring up those mountains, they're exhausted from the sprint stage the day before.
I mean, there's only so many of those sprinters that finished. Like the whole thing is like, the plan is to drop out after the first week. Like they will plan for that.
This is why the green jersey winners historically are amazing. Like Peter Sagan, I know he gets a lot of credit and everything. His mental toughness is not something people would check as like a strength of his. He's got amazing mental toughness.
Yeah.
Because winning the green jersey meant you finished every single stage way off the back. Like way off the back.
Yeah.
I mean, we're watching that Alpe d'Huez stage thinking like, oh man, now what a great day by Chris Froome, and you're not thinking 50 minutes down the road is like Mark Cavendish hauling his 40 pounds more up the climb.
I think any of those sprinters that are on the Champs-Élysées are just like, I'm always like, man, that person put in 3 weeks of, and they're not built for this.
No.
And they're just, hoping for those
Every
sprints.
time Andre Greipel makes it there,
you're
like, what an amazing athlete. Somebody give that guy a beer right now.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you guys don't just like wake up and think that you're going to go for like a 20-mile bike ride. Next thing you know, you're doing like a double century. You guys all prepare for this stuff. You guys all go out and you train and do all that stuff. But how do you guys mentally prepare for the day that you're going to go out and you're going to like take all that said preparation and just pour yourself into it? How do you guys mentally package that up in your head so that you can get through this knowing that you're going to make this happen? How do you guys prepare for that?
I think a lot of times people will talk about visualizing where it's going to get hard.
Yep.
And so I think that's a standard tool to use. I think if Lance were to say like, okay, I'm going to do 200 miles, this is going to like, I don't like to do 200 miles. I'm good for 150 or 130. What's your cutoff?
Something like that.
Somewhere in that 120, 130 range.
I'm fine there.
But if he was going to do, if he was going to do 200, he would be, I think it would be good for him to say like, I know that at 1:30, I'm going to feel horrible. And like in this part of the course is 130-mile marker. So then, like, you can kind of see like, okay, some people even do this. Like they'll like walk through mentally the whole course, like going to pass this. I remember I passed this junction, and I remember I passed that pool where everyone's, having a good time in the pool and I'm on my bike. Like, how do you mentally prepare to see those things and keep pushing? You can visualize it the day before or the week before or whenever. And sometimes I think visualizing will definitely help with that kind of like, okay, check mark, that came and went just like I thought it was going to.
Yep.
And this is the part up here where it's supposed to start hurting. And then you kind of like attack it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. For me, it's really just knowing my body and knowing that, you're going to go do work and being able to have tools now that we can look at and see what's going on with our heart rate. We can look at, kilojoules expended for, sake of knowing how much we need to fuel our bodies. We can look at our
Knowing
power
what
numbers.
watts you can push.
Exactly. How many watts we should be pushing and for how long. Having that stuff at my disposal is huge for me, knowing that I'm mentally prepared for that. If I have that, then I can have like a good working idea of what my body's going to be able to do. But then I also have to have like some motivators, and having like teammates that I want to be accountable to, or little things too. Like my kids know that I go out and I train hard, and I go out and I like to race bicycles. I don't want to come home and have them say, "How did you do, Dad?" And say, "Oh, I quit the race," or I was just tired. I didn't do. I don't want. I want to come home with like a good story, or if I didn't have a good race, at least I gave it everything that I could, and I didn't give up, and just kind of let it be a lesson for me and for them. So having those little things together.
I think that's where you three have a cool motivator there, and I see all three of you do, and just the way your kids look at you, and hopefully I think your kids will talk about you like I talk about my mom through this podcast as somebody who you looked up to in those moments when, like, once you get to a certain age, you realize like, oh, wow, when Dad went and raced Mountain Or, that was a hard race, especially if, Bear goes and starts doing road races. Like my dad, like won the, was up there in this race one year, and realizing then at that moment how hard those are. Yeah. That's an awesome lesson looking back,
And I still like think back about STP, Seattle to Portland. I mean, that's
a mentally tough situation.
Yes.
It's like
it's a boring ride, isn't it?
It is. It's
mentally tough because it's
long.
a boring ride.
It's not that it's like a race or anything. I mean, they do have a little bit of a timed component to it. We always want to go out there and time travel.
It's a long day.
It's just a long freaking day. Like, how do you mentally prepare for that? And it's really just like having friends, knowing what your body's able to do, and just kind of like checking off. Like, it's funny how you just like chew off and like, all right, another 25 miles in the bank, another 50 miles in the bank, okay, another 100 miles to go. And it's just funny like how you are able to kind of compartmentalize those and not look at the big picture, but looking at it in smaller chunks. For me, was definitely a way that I had the ability to get through that a little bit more successfully. So how about our teammate Andy Levine this past weekend?
I totally forgot to talk about that. Champ Bailey screwed up.
Come on, Champ.
That was the other thing I was trying to
way
remember.
more important than Froome rumors.
So he did Race Across Oregon.
Race Across Oregon. It was a 250-mile race.
Correct.
Time trial type format.
Correct.
Kind of in the middle part of the state.
Yeah. Well, they say it's Race Across Oregon, but it's more of like a big loop.
Yeah,
in the middle of the state. So
it's a little different than it's been in years past.
Yeah. So he Andy had a little bike spill probably a little over a year ago, and ended up having shoulder surgery. Had a lot of similar things done to his shoulder that I had. He'd torn labrum and rotator cuff stuff, and kind of had to endure all that. He's in a position right now where he's set to actually go back in and have surgery to have his shoulder cleaned up. Very similar things to what I had to have done recently. He decided, knowing that full well, and I don't know how he did it, he's going to go ahead and do Race Across Oregon. Why not? When you've got a massive shoulder problem. If you don't know Andy, he is, he's 6'4", 6'5"?
He's tall.
He's tall. He's super lean.
He's a volume junkie, too.
He is a diesel motor on the bike.
Yeah.
I've done big, long rides with him. He kind of is warmed up by about mile 70.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then beyond that, he's hard to hang on to.
So he did this race.
His training's crazy. Like I was looking at that. I'm like, it's between him and Jordan every single week on who flogged themselves more. And Lance now too.
And he has mental toughness for days. He actually DNF'd. and it was because of his shoulder, and he doesn't think that he physically
Medically
could have
necessary
done it without
DNF.
without hurting himself or having to be taken home in an ambulance. But he made it through 230 miles of the 250-mile race. And the bulk of, I think, the rest of the ride for him was going to be downhill, but he just couldn't do anything on that shoulder anymore. The shoulder was done.
It was finished.
And as a matter of fact, he probably did more damage to it. So his next surgery is probably going to be a little bit more involved than maybe it was going to have to be. But that's 14 and a half hours on the bike. He did just a hair shy of 20,000 feet of elevation gain.
Yep.
That hurts.
So much elevation gain.
That hurts
Oh my
so
gosh.
bad. So
Just check that off as he finished the race. That's I mean,
just to get through
20,000 feet of elevation gain for that long.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Absolutely nuts. But that's big kudos to Andy for that. And that's a lot of mental toughness right there. I mean, I know that he was probably feeling that probably before he even started. But like, I know with my shoulder, before I had my shoulder surgery, I was having a hard time getting through 50 miles.
Yeah.
And like, you'd see me, like all of a sudden, like my arm would be hanging down, or I'm putting excessive weight on the right side and barely touching the bars to the left side. And it's still problematic, but it's getting better, hopefully. And I know that him being on the bike for 14 and a half hours, that takes a special athlete right there.
Kudos, Andy.
I mean,
that is, jeez.
Yeah, crazy. Anything else you guys want to touch on here?
I would just bring up, there's 5 things that I think really help with mental toughness.
Go through that list.
And these 5 things are actually brought up by Dylan Johnson. He made a YouTube video about it. We referenced it a little earlier, but I think they're pretty spot on. The first, and we've talked a little bit about all of them. The first is goal setting.
Yep.
Having a goal will definitely help you get through tough times.
Oh, yeah.
The second is social facilitation.
Totally.
You go ride with people. You ride with other people. You ride with faster people than you. You'd be surprised at how much harder you can go if you're with somebody than if you're by yourself.
Yeah.
So oftentimes,
There's
making
a
it social.
huge mental aspect to that. Like, it's like I ride with Jake or something like that, and like I can ride with Jake I'm in on his easy days and stuff like that. But then like if I go line up, I'm like, oh, I've raced. I mean, I can ride with Jake. I can race these chumps.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know what I mean? There's like, it's a mental like hurdle that those guys don't have, or whatever little mental tool in your toolbox.
Yeah. The third one is he called chunking, which means breaking up your ride or your effort into smaller chunks.
Yep.
Right.
If you have 3 20-minute sweet spot segment, sections, intervals that you're going to do, that 20 minutes could be extremely difficult. And if you just think, okay, I'm just going to get through the next 3 minutes,
right,
and then I'm going to get to the next 3 minutes, you break it down like that, it can spur you on to go a little bit harder.
And I think every time we do an interval set, that we work on mentally chunking, a thing up, because like
I could write a book on mentally chunking.
Well,
I love it from indoor training.
Like,
oh my gosh,
running, you get used to it really early on. You have this laps and stuff, but then like biking, the workouts can be so long that I look at them and I'm like, oh my gosh, look how long this is. It's not like 10 times a minute. It's like 10 times a minute, and then
you
15
times 2
set.
minutes,
and then back to 10 times. And you look at that and you're just like, nope. And then you do it.
Yeah.
Don't stare at bike programs. If you want to get a good workout, just go for a regular ride with Lance, and then all this lancing stuff happens, and so you just don't,
like 10 by 1
don't
minute
even
by
think
the end.
about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
You get to the end, you're like, oh my gosh, that was like 20 efforts in there.
One lancing moment. Just think of one at a time. Just take it one at a time. Oh man.
The fourth strategy is, we've talked a lot about this. It's embracing pain.
Yeah.
You know it's gonna hurt at some point. If I know I'm going out and I have a workout on the schedule, there's gonna be pain, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the suffering. I'm okay with the pain.
You
You're
kind
okay
of
with the scabs too.
You kind of get like
big
excited about it to some point. I know when Matt was talking about visualizing certain races, when I'm like running on a treadmill, being bored out of my mind, staring at a wall, like all I'm thinking about, just like, getting on the podium of a pro race, never going to actually happen, but like something you can visualize and think about. And it's that moment of that suffering that you kind of start to idolize, and you're like, oh, that's going to be such a cool moment, as much as it's going to suck too. But it's an awesome, cool moment.
I think we should probably preface the enjoy the pain bit with, there's different types of pain. Achilles pain.
No, you don't enjoy
broken
Achilles.
rib
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah.
They're very different than like your workout pain.
Yeah.
Well-
Self-induced pain is
Or
way
even
different.
like my calf tear. It's like, this is not good. This is not helping anything.
No.
Like I want to have the pain where your lungs are burning.
Yes.
And your heart
Right.
is in your
Yeah.
throat. Like that's good.
We'll call it
And
the
your
Guyman
legs
pain,
feel
yeah.
heavy because
Yeah.
they're full of lactic acid
That's
that you've already worked so hard.
And I think one of the things that you learn as you become an older athlete is which pain is okay and which pain is not okay.
Yeah.
So that takes time.
It does. It does.
The last strategy is having no quitting attitude. Having an attitude where you just aren't going to quit. That can definitely help get you through difficult times.
Yeah.
It could also get you in trouble. But
Let's put you in
can
Andy's situation where you're 230 miles into a ride. You know?
right.
It can definitely be dangerous for sure.
Or I crash and break some ribs and I should have gone straight home. Instead, I rode 10 miles further away from my house.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Going back to that Andy thing too. I mean, it's not that he didn't finish the race and got a DNF. It's that he did 230 miles with a jacked up shoulder
jacked
in
shoulder.
tough conditions. It was hot out there, and
Oh, it was
he
hot as
made
heck.
it that
He's a
far.
big guy, too,
And-
yeah.
But it's like you said, it's almost just as important to know when to stop. Though you've got to know where that is at for you, because there becomes a point in time where you could actually do some serious harm to yourself.
That could be a podcast all in itself. Well, and this is the problem is when you train your brain to adapt to mental toughness and make you a good aerobic athlete.
right.
That line gets. I mean, like. And Jake knows this better than anybody, and Andy now knows it better than anybody, Lance and Matt. That line seems like it should be a firm line, and it's not, because your mind is going to start ignoring certain things. When that goal becomes the primary thing, you're going to start ignoring things. You'd be like, oh, the shoulder's okay. I think it's okay. I can't put any pressure on it right now, but it'll come back around at mile 300. You know, that's, no, your mind will start to block out things. So that is a careful line to walk.
Cool. Good stories, you guys. Good info. Good input. Appreciate that. One last thing, Evan.
One last thing. I am going to.
He's got nothing.
I got nothing.
We'll come back to you if you come upon.
Hold on. No. I do have something. Robert
Oh yeah.
Cummins
Robert
took down the Larch Mountain KOM on.
cool.
I will preface this. Not their best day.
No.
Which is terrifying, because that means that Robert has a lot more in the engine, which is scary. So me and Mike, I will be fully open with this, because I've already told Robert we're going after it.
Yeah.
So me and Mike are going to take some time to build as much fitness as we can. I don't know how much more I can build. I'm just going to try. And we're going to go after it. And then Robert has already put it out there that they're going to go out there and get it back.
As soon as you guys take it
as soon
back.
as we do it. So me and Mike have to do something really
I think his
strong.
words were, "If you get it, I'm coming
I'm
back
coming
for
right
it."
back
I'm
for
coming
it.
back for it.
Just a level of confidence that's terrifying. I know. I mean, I know the numbers. Like, I know what my watts per kilo is. I know what Robert's is. Mine is not Robert's, which means if we're going to line up on a climb for 20 minutes, Robert's going to win. So how do I beat somebody?
Robert's probably a
who's
little bit
better
lighter than
me?
you too.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
a touch.
Eat more of those cookies.
10 pounds.
That'll help
Yeah, I
your
know.
watts per kilo.
Lunch. I think cookies for
Cookies for
lunch.
lunch.
Hey, it works for Phil Guyman.
Yes.
But yes, Robert, kudos.
Kudos on that.
I'm so glad I have somebody that's this strong of a climber. Same thing with Tonk, same thing with Mike, that we can just go back and forth on these climbs, and then I can just end up in last place. Because
Have fun with it.
I saw.
I wonder if he could probably beat us on the e-bike too, huh?
Yes.
I wouldn't put it past Robert. There's
Lance, I think you and I need to go out there and put a strong effort into it on the e-bikes, just to
on
see
e-bikes, just see
if we
what
see
it
what
looks
the
like.
gap is.
Yeah. It could be interesting.
I just need Lance. I need you on the e-bike next to me playing like Rocky montage
do
the
that.
entire time. I need something. Yeah.
I can do that.
That's fun.
I need all this Team Sky marginal gains I can get to even get close to what Robert's going to put down on that climb again.
Have you been riding the e-bike at all?
Yeah, every day to the mail.
Have you gone to the mail?
Yeah.
Rode up Ellsworth with him on Saturday.
Yes. All our wives went out for a ride. There was a group ride of like 8 women or something, and Jake's wife and my wife went.
You were riding with a couple ladies on
That was the end
Saturday?
of that ride. Yeah, that was
the
my
end of
wife and Jenny Hamness.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they left my house to go meet some other people, and so they left about 40 or 45 minutes ahead of me. And I decided at some point in time, I'm like, I'm probably going to have other things going on this afternoon. I might as well go for a ride. I might as well try and catch them. So when I left my house, I was at the bottom of Sierra, kind of close to Lacamas Athletic Club, and they were already 2/3 of the way down the 205 bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I caught him.
You got him.
You had to put your head down and go.
Yeah, for an hour. I was on for an hour. Pretty hard. So that was fun.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I joined the ride for like half a mile on the e-bike because I was hurt. Yeah, I was hurting.
It's good
The
for
e-bike is
injury
awesome.
recovery.
The e-bike is awesome. Yeah.
Cool. Matt, one last thing.
The Trek video. Go check that out. Go watch
check
the
out
Trek
the Trek
video.
video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Learn why you shouldn't put weight on the aero bars or handlebars of your Trek bikes. And yeah, if you need me, I'll be working on that bike for another couple weeks.
Lovely. Lance, one last thing.
That's it. Go ride e-bikes.
E-bikes.
We've got some e-bikes down here at the lab if anybody wants to come check them out.
down.
They're
Rubber side down,
yeah,
everybody.
pretty fun. My one last thing, I've got a cool little orange bracelet here that says fitness
yeah.
is a habit. And I think,
love this thing.
Wow, hold on. So you guys all have one too? I thought I was
Oh,
special.
I got one. No. It's just cooler than Livestrong bracelets.
Yeah, Evan, you want to tell us about this one more time?
Yeah, this is Cliff Stanford. So if everybody remembers when we had Cliff on the podcast before.
Yeah.
How many podcasts ago was that?
That's
4
2 or 3?
Maybe?
3 or 4, yeah.
Three or four ago. Yep. So he has a Instagram page and also just this project he's working on called Fitness is a Habit, which is kind of chronicling. It was originally chronicling Cliff's kind of fitness journey, you know, working on himself, and then really grew into something where, like everything Cliff does, he's always got a community mindset, and it became this thing that he wants to grow in the community. And this is, you know, the bracelets. It's FIAH is what it's shortened to on Instagram. But yeah, go follow him on Instagram, and he's been putting out a lot of stuff lately since COVID has hit, which I think is huge because when we're talking about being healthy, fitness is a big part of that.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Cliff. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Cliff.
Thanks, Cliff. And they're orange. Even
Yes,
better.
they are.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
They're
it
nice.
matches nicely.
Dialed cycling cover.
Awesome. All right, guys. 126 is done and in the old computer now, so we'll call it a day. We really appreciate everybody coming back to listen. If you're interested in that Patreon stuff, go to dialedpodcast.com to check out the Patreon link there. Go check out Matt's YouTube channel. That's what's that?
VVV. Just kidding. www.youtube.com/mlegrand. MLEGRAND.
And
Subscribe.
Not that poser pop star, man. The other one.
He's good too. Subscribe to both of them, but hit the notification bell on mine.
What does that notification bell do, Matt?
It tells you when I post new videos, which is about once per week.
Ooh, okay.
Awesome. If you have any questions regarding injuries or fitness or bike fits or have questions for
Or-
PT, you can
Or just
ping-
want to hang out with me. You
Tech-
know?
hang
or
out.
technology questions, electronics.
You can leave those one to the Emily Grant station, but yeah.
You can visit the Dialed Endurance Lab website to contact Evan and get more information on the lab, and Evan's always here to help you. If you want to see some cool Instagram pictures, go to Dr. Hep. Is that it?
At Dr. Hep.
Yeah.
DRHEPP.
Go check out Brandy's page too.
Oh, yeah.
It's way cooler.
Randy
Lance.
Hepler art.
I know.
That is awesome.
Her page
She's
is
posting
awesome.
a lot. It's
Yeah,
good.
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And if you want to reach me, don't. I'm just too busy. I'm sorry.
Schedule the appointment, guys.
Schedule an appointment. Go to
Schedule an appointment.
dialedcycling.com. Thank you for listening again. We will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye for now.